You're going to have to chill. I know mommy just got home. You're going to have to chill. All right. All right, everybody. I think I'm almost ready. Let me figure out how to let everybody else in. Hey, Lisa. And I'll try to keep an eye on that. I'm not sure how well I will do. I'll try to keep an eye on YouTube in case you guys have questions. But again, I don't know how. It says we're live, but I'm not seeing it on, sorry, you guys. Not seeing it on YouTube. We are. I'm trying to see the chat is what I'm trying. You know what I mean? So that I can.
Right.
And I'm not seeing my. Hold on.
Oh, we're live there.
Okay, well, I might not be able to see the chat, you guys. I'll see if it comes up because it's not coming up for some reason on my phone. So maybe Sharon or somebody, if anybody who's a moderator or somebody's on YouTube, can you guys let me know if there's questions? Because I don't think I'm going to be able to check that, unfortunately. So I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just clueless or tech isn't working. All right, unless you can see it, Glenda, can you see YouTube?
No, I could see it, but I couldn't see the chat.
Yeah, I don't see any. Yeah, I don't see any. Anyway, all right. So we're going to officially start. I'm going to stop talking about how horrible I am at technology, although you might see me disappear if Glenda gets going because I'm going to go try to open my water. I'm going to be really thirsty, either one. All right, so welcome to another episode of The Secret to Everything Random podcast, where we randomly interview people that I want to, whenever I want to, whatever time I want to, randomly. But you guys can watch it, of course, anytime. So a little bit of background. Oh, first of all, I want to say that, and I mean this in total respect, and I know Glenn understands, just because I have someone on does not mean that Glenn and I are going to agree on everything. And Glenn and I are mature enough to actually, what I like about her is I know if we do disagree, we can be respectful and mature and fun and have a great disagreement, if that makes sense, or a differing opinion, not even disagreement, right? Just different perspective or point of view. And I love that about her. So I already picked that up from when she interviewed me. And if you've missed that, it's on my channel, it's on her channel. So you guys can, catch up on that. When she didn't really interview me, we kind of just, I think, had a conversation, which is what we're going
to. We started with an interview, but it turned out to be better.
Quickly went into we had a random chat between ourselves.
Right.
But I do have some subjects I want to throw at you, kind of pitch at you and see where we go. But before we do that, so again, I'll just say my little statement, the views of our guests on the Secret to Everything podcast may or may not align with the views of anyone who works at Secret to Everything or myself, and vice versa. My views not align with my guests. So this is the amazing, wonderful Glenda. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you get into consciousness? How did you get into the paranormal, and what do you do? Let's start with that.
Okay, well, I've always been into consciousness. I have been speaking to beings since before I was age of 2. They have made themselves known to me. They used to come as dressed as what I would call the archangel image that you see now in pictures and stuff like that. Of course, later on, I was a child, so later on, as I got older, they showed more of their true essence. But they wanted me to just have fun and not be scared of them, which I could understand. And so even before the age of 2, at that point, I was not able to basically walk due to some birth defects that I was born with. And the day before the age of 2, they said to me, you could walk. I was like, no, they told me they can't. So they held my hand and I started walking. They basically were defining my life. They were saying, whatever you want to do, don't let others stop you. And so I worked with them since then, and I kind of dedicated my life to them, to the greater good. So I could be used as a conduit to raise vibrations, to help others heal, to just bring whatever message I need to bring to whatever group it is. Because even when I do presentations, I start out with this beautiful written thing that I'm going to talk about and all this other stuff. And I get there and they say, you might as well throw that away because we're not going anywhere near there. They need to hear this. And so,
Love it.
it's like, okay, here we go. So, and, I just find that because they are trying to help humanity raise its vibrations, and that is what I basically agreed to be as a conduit. So I just go with the flow. Um, I am basically I work with conscious in whatever capacity I'm allowed to work with it.
Hmm.
I constantly am taking classes and all that other stuff, and see how people do the same things but in other ways, because I don't know which tool or which way will resonate the most at any given day. So I
Hmm.
don't want to limit myself. And I'm always willing to hear other people's point of view because,
Yeah.
like I said, if I get into a point where I'm saying, no, this is the only way, then I'm putting myself in my own box, my
Yeah,
own
and
jail.
judgment. You're putting yourself
Exactly.
in judgment, which is putting yourself in low level, I mean, back in duality and in polarity. I mean, right back where
Exactly.
we're trying to get out of and trying to model out of. So I love that. And I picked that up right away. You have such a beautiful grounding. I said this to you before, I think, energy, just such a center, such a beautiful 0 point energy. I just love to be in your presence. So I think it's just
Thank
really,
you.
the frequency that you hold. I have to ask though, this is a little irreverent. The accent, girl, where is that accent from?
Newark, New Jersey.
I thought so. I'm like, I'm saying, you've got a hardcore New Jersey accent. That I don't know. I forget where you live. I don't think you live in do you still live in New
No,
Jersey?
no. I live in Pennsylvania now.
I thought, but
Yeah.
wow, that did not go away. Woo. That is,
No, well, I am true blue Jersey girl.
I love it. I'm just like, I love the East Coast, so I respect that.
Mm.
Okay, so kind of got a little, I think you guys got a little feel for a little bit of who this lady is. Let's start throwing some topics. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, which I don't remember what I said to you, so don't be surprised if I don't even mention what we talked about talking, but we probably will. One of the things I want to throw at you and the audience, and you guys can jump in or ask questions or make comments if you want. Let's talk about NPCs. What do you think about NPCs? What do you think about the people that are on the planet today? Do you think, are you seeing a lot of soul people that are like, in the, raising their frequency and doing the work? Are you seeing empty containers? Are you seeing possessed people? What are you seeing in your work and in your world?
Well, I am seeing those that come to be what I call a battery to try to energize those around them to raise their vibrations. I see a lot of those. But then I also I'm seeing a lot lately of the empty shells, unfortunately, because of so much negative energy that's being produced at this very moment.
Mm,
Um, but and then I see people that are doing their best to keep that lighthouse light on, and just keep it going. And you see it dim every once in a while, but then they do something, they walk in nature or whatever, they ground themselves again, and they re-energize, and you see that bright light again. So it to me, it just depends on where they're at that moment. Sometimes the same person could be very bright And unfortunately, due to their environment or what they're going through at that moment, they let the outside influence their light, their brightness, their energy field. So I think if people would work on their energy field and look at things with, how can I put this? Look at things like with the wonder of a child. You know, when we were children, anything that we saw, we were like ecstatic, we were happy. We would look at a flower and we would be, oh, look at this beautiful flower, and admire it and look at every detail. And now we walk by flowers like, a lot of people just walk by flowers like there's nothing. It's okay, it's there. And we've got to get back to that wonder.
Yeah, I love. Um, Speaking of, you mentioned nature.
Mhm.
Talk to me about your relationship with the beings and what beings that you have a relationship with that's associated, in your opinion, with nature.
Well, I have a connection with fairies. They're beautiful, and I know that a lot of people dislike fairies because they say that they're mean and they're evil and all that. And I say, no, they're defending themselves. If you go into their territory and you create havoc, they're going to defend themselves, just like anybody. If somebody comes into your house, you're not going to say, "Hey, welcome, come in, sit down." When they have a gun and pointing at you, it's you know what I mean. It's the same thing. If you go in there with kindness and compassion and say, "Look, I'm just here to talk to you, to work with you, to help you," you know what are you guys are about? Why are you hiding and all that other stuff? You could create a great, great bond where they could also teach you how to use their energy to
Hmm.
help others. I work with dragons, I work with leprechauns, I work with gargoyles, um, any being that is energetic being or nature bound, nature being you could work with. They're not, I hate saying, they're not negative. It's just how you go in there. If you go with a negative attitude, they're going to defend their territory. It's as simple as that. But I find them very interesting. I find them very welcoming. And I even go to a place near my home, column style, where I go through this one archway made of stones. And when you walk under that archway, it's like a whole other dimension there. Everything is extremely peaceful and everything. And if you go in there with good intentions, you actually hear the clipping of their wings, like click, 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 click. And if you just sit there and hold space, you will start to see them. They will start showing themselves. Um, which is, the first time it happened to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm crying because I'm seeing all this. And it was just amazing to me. But like I said, I work with a lot of different beings in general. I'm a big believer that we came from love, and no matter what dimension, place, time, um, space you are in, you eventually go back to love. So we're all part of the same love energy, divine energy. So it doesn't matter what the appearance looks like. Um, I believe that humans at one point were fairies and could be fairies.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
believe that they could be dragons. And it's the energy inside of us that people call souls, the spirit travels in different realms and different dimensions, different lifetimes, so we could experience all these different um, events, I guess, or different and receive different knowledge. So, you know, I work with anybody that's willing to work with me with respect, because I also believe you got to respect me also. So,
Right. It's interesting. I was reading a book by a psychic who considers herself pretty progressive and understands she says, the game and how we fit into all time, all space. And so I'm reading along, da 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 da, and then she's like, but stay away from the Sasquatch. They're absolutely evil. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, because I have not, this is me, I'm not saying other people, I'm only
Right,
speaking for me. I have not had one negative. Now, I've had some mischievous prankster encounters with the juveniles,
right.
but I have not, and I've had to lay down some rules, like you said, some boundaries.
Boundaries.
Not had one, and you read these stories and they're chilling of the
Mhm.
Sasquatch driving people from their homes, like you said,
Mhm.
territorial and no respect, no agreement, no
Right,
communication, pounding on windows, breaking things, killing cats and dogs. Like you, and I don't doubt some of these stories.
right.
I think if you're aggressive toward them or you threaten them or you threaten their young, like any being,
Hmm.
I think they're going to come back and, do you in or drive you off their land. But
Hmm.
came onto this land saying, I saw all the beings here, not just Sasquatch, many beings, little
Right.
people, fairies, uh,
Hmm.
Sasquatch, beings. I don't even know what they are, mantis, all sorts of beings.
Right.
And I said, I know this is your guys' home. I
Hmm.
know I'm extruding. Like I cried over the trees I had to take down. Like I knew this was their land. And so I'm like, I'll make a deal with you. I'm going to respect you. You're going to respect me. I'm not going to destroy your stuff. You're not going to destroy my stuff. I'm not going to take down one more tree. I said, I'm going to take down minimal trees to build this house. I promised them, and I haven't. And I saved as many trees as I could to the fact that it's so scary. There's so many trees, they could fall on my house, but the trees tell me we're not going to fall on your house. So I'm cool with that.
Right.
So, so I honored the land and we have an agreement. I know it's theirs and they know in a way it's mine, so we share it and
Exactly.
you can make all the structures you want. If there's a dead tree, you can take it down and make it a structure. You cannot rip down because they will rip down live trees and I won't let them on my property,
Hmm.
and if them, we have a talk like the juveniles were writing in my concrete, before it dries when they were building the house. I said, guys, and they stopped it. Like the parents stopped it because
Like every juvenile, right? Every juvenile, even human.
and they were picking at my concrete because, I don't know if you guys know this. It's so funny that we think concrete crumbles naturally.
Right.
Concrete is like 300 years old. Concrete or really poorly mixed, I'm not saying it can never happen, but concrete does not crumble naturally. And it doesn't even crumble naturally at the cracks. So what the Sasquatch like to do, you probably know this, but they like to bash it with their heavy little hands and feet. And then they pick the concrete, they water it down, and they use it to repair trees and
Hmm.
trees, like mark,
Right.
this, with their symbols. And so they started on my driveway, and it wasn't Juno's, and I'm like, this is the only crack you're doing that to. We're not playing that. So I'm like, you can go there, there, there. I'm like pointing to the neighbors. I'm like, there's other, you guys can walk down the road a little bit. Concrete. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we have
Yeah.
like, but again, I have an understanding of them that's above, I think, the common person. The common
Right.
person, they were doing what was doing that. They
Right.
would think big chunks are missing from their concrete. Like we don't, you know what I always say, and I don't know, you'll understand this. I say we don't know because we don't ask, we don't see because we don't look, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. You have to have the willingness to open your eyes, not just these eyes, but all of your eyes. And you have to have the willingness
into the stratosphere every year.
to understand.
And this doesn't, in the long run, mean that you can forget about cutting emissions. We will need to rein in.
No, we'll get to it eventually. In the meantime, we're shrouding the earth in sulfuric acid.
So people are terrified about talking about this because
There we go. We got that. Okay. Little interference, but go ahead.
But if you're willing to be open and willing to share, because let's face it, they have probably been here since Terra was created, and we were just an addition. And I believe that if we share this space, nobody has to leave. Nobody has to get hurt. Everybody can just live peacefully. And that's the same thing that I do when I go to houses that are, you know, haunted, as I call it. That's why I say remediation, because I go in there and I say, okay, can I come in to the house? I first ask if I could come in. And if the house says yes, I go in. Then I say, okay, I want to hear everyone's story in here. Whoever's here, I would like to know your story. What are you about? Where did you come from? Why are you still here? What is it that you're looking for? Because you're trying to get the owner's attention. So what is it that you are trying to tell them? And what can we do so both sides can live peacefully and coexist in the same space without anybody having to be chaotic? And sometimes it's so funny because they just say plant a tree,
Oh, wow.
or something like, well, they're a family. Why aren't they having family dinners like every weekend? So I tell the family, look, can you arrange for like a family dinner every weekend? And that will quiet them down because they're really family oriented and they don't see that. You guys are off to everywhere else. And even if it's in the middle of the week, just one dinner, one meal, sit down, put all your phones away and just speak to each other. And I have found that once everybody starts doing, both sides start doing what they agreed to, the house gets peaceful, the lands get peaceful, the if the owner, the physical owner, the human owner has a garden, the garden does great that year. So it's all how you come to an agreement so everybody can be in the same space. It's very important, extremely important, because I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want somebody coming into my house telling me what to do.
But Glenda, why do you think, and I'm my own knowing and opinion, but why do you think so many, I call them human discarnates or ghosts or whatever,
Right.
without bodies that once had a body, human body, why are they so many, at least around me? Why are there so many in the fourth dimension? Why are there so many here? Why don't they want to like hit the road, in your opinion?
Well, most of the ones I have asked that question about too, tell me it's because they have guilt feelings
Oh, wow.
or they're afraid.
Oh, really?
Because, for example, there's one child, he was about, I think he said the age was 13. He was beaten by his father to death, literally,
My gosh.
because he
Well,
did not do his chores by 6 a.m. It was like he didn't finish them when his father ordered him to finish it. So he was literally beaten to death. And he's saying to me, why would I want to go into the light when they're telling me that because I didn't do my chores, I was going to go to hell? And he beat me to death and he's supposedly going to heaven. What people call heaven.
right.
And so I'm afraid of going there. So he was still feeling guilty, still feeling fear. Like I would be in fear of being in the same realm with the guy who just killed me. I honestly, and they don't quite understand that once you go into what we call the light, the next dimension, there is none of what happened here. There's peace, there's love, there's understanding, and you recognize the energy. You don't there is no physical being. And whatever you think you were feeling guilty about, you will come to the understanding that it's just something you had to go through to learn something. And hopefully you learned the lesson so you don't have to repeat it again. But, so that child, that poor boy, we were doing an actual Reiki class, and I had all my students just give him energy. and all their hands just went
Wow.
up at the same time. His spirit finally agreed to go up into the light, what we call the light, for lack of
At
other
least
wording.
at least into a different realm,
Right.
not so close to here, wherever
Right.
that is. I think
Exactly. A more
there's
peaceful realm.
many amazing realms that you can choose or create, and there's
Right.
many there's many hell realms that have been created.
Exactly.
Choose to go if you want to go there. If you believe you're going out, you can go to hell.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. In an old house of mine, we used to have, I don't know why I just wasn't with it. I was raising 4 girls as a single mom. I was more worried about putting food on the table than dealing with ghosts in my house. But I had a 17-year-old young male that had committed suicide, and he just loved being around the girls, and not in a bad way, not like in a creepy.
No.
Loved sitting on the stairs because that's where they would go up to their rooms and down, and where the kitchen was. And he was like we all saw him. Isn't that dumb? We just let him hang out there as part of the family. Like, I never tried to get him to go anywhere. I never talked to him about his story. He was just part of the family. We must be like so weird,
No, I on purpose bought a house that was put on the records in 1900.
Wow.
So, there's a lot in there too, and we don't bother each other.
So kind of like
they're just there, and I'm doing my thing, they're doing their thing. I just, if they start getting chaotic, yes, I'm going to have a chat with them, because that's not really allowed in my house. But it's, if everybody's at peace, they go do whatever you got to do. Make believe you're still cooking in your old kitchen. That's fine with me.
So you're not a Zach Bagans type of like Ghostbuster. You're not going to go in and be like, "You MFers, get out of here in the name," and like sprinkle holy water and drive them out.
No. First of all, chaotic spirits, what I call chaotic, could be just simple angry spirit that is very angry at the owners, or the way they've been treated, or the way that their property is being taken care of. It could be anything. It could be the fact that they're not heard, because, so they stir up energy so they could close cabinets, open cabinet doors, open doors, close, so they could get somebody's attention. Now, for those that don't know, actual possessions are very, very rare. There may be a chaotic attachment to you that attaches to your energy field, but actually, as a what people call evil, which I hate that word, a chaotic entity to take over your whole existence is very rare. There are a lot of other contributing factors before you get to what people call an exorcism.
I call what you're talking about exorcism, and I'm very specific. I might say they're in your energy field. I might say like you're half out of your body, they're half in your body, but I call it what you're talking about. I call like the exorcist level.
Right.
Very rare. Exorcist
very rare.
in your head. What we would call, and I don't like to either, because again, when we're using that good and evil label, kind of, it's ick. That's what
very
we're trying
boxy.
And it's not necessarily, because we've all been, I love what you said at the beginning. Not only have we all been all different kinds of beings, but we've all made all kinds of different decisions in all kind of different realms. We still are.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
What we would call in polarity, positive aspects and negative aspects, but there's not. It's all, you would say it's all love. I would say it's all from peace. And whenever you go out of peace, so if I'm going to label good and I'm going to label evil, I'm out of peace. You would probably say out of love. I see love as a polarity game only because love and hate is opposite.
Okay.
So to me, and love, and also my memory of other realms, and probably yours, maybe if you haven't articulated this, and I'll ask you it. love is actually in the, and I hate to say upper dimensions because it's all one dimension and we're all one, but there's different lenses. Let's pull down a
Right.
lens.
Okay.
There's so much better being states in the multiverse than love.
Mm-hmm.
Higher.
Right.
In other places than here. Do you hear what I'm saying? There's
there's more
being states than what we think of and have experienced in a very 3D way that we kind of loosely label love. Does that make sense? So that's me to use that term because it's such a nebulous term. Like we say I love you and then we sleep with your best friend. You know what I'm saying? For real.
Well, that you don't even love yourself when you're doing that.
But you know what I'm saying? I think we all this spelling down here.
Yeah, it's we have limited vocabulary for what you feel and what you truly are.
That's what I'm trying.
Yeah, it's our vocabulary is extremely limited. I have had near-death experiences. I've actually been dead. I shouldn't say near-death experience. Been dead where they had to shock me back into life. And
remember?
Oh yeah, I remember everything. And what I experienced there, yes, peaceful love, the oneness that we all talk about, but it's just beyond that. It's hard to describe because of the limited vocabulary that we are given in this realm. It's undescribable, basically.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've had I think it is possible, not just with plant medicine, which I don't really want to go down, but people say they have states on plant medicine. You don't have to take plant medicine, in my opinion, to have that state, to connect to those states. I don't think you have to die or take plant medicine. I think you can, but I don't think you have to. I think you can just connect to those other aspects that are in those states of being. And I also like what you've inferred, which is keeping ourselves clear and clean is so important in accomplishing all the things we say we want to do, turning on our psychic ability. Don't people come to you, or do people come to you and say, help me be psychic or turn on my psychic abilities or what would you say to someone if I came to you and said that?
Well, first of all, I tell them it's always been in you and you know how to do it, but I'll give you some of the tools that help me. So I will teach them what I learned, what the tools that I use to help me reignite that flow of gifts. Because sometimes we just need the right direction. That's all.
Yeah, I like that. I like the I would say remember, you're saying reignite. Am I can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
It's just they're freezing my camera. Always something. Yeah, so I
technology.
Like that. So well, okay. I agree with you on that completely. But why do you think, let's get more specific if you want to, or we can go back and forth. Why do you think there's still this huge group of people, in my experience, I don't know about your experience in your practice, but in my experience, that aren't as activated, that may not have the ability to see like you and I do, or the mediumship ability or the psychic, you know what I'm saying, that may not have that active, and maybe you and I were born with that, and maybe there's a leg up that we learned in the previous incarnation, and so we came in with more memory to this incarnation. But what would you say? Like, why are we asking these questions? Why aren't we just all like you and I, or better, more embodied than you and I, even?
Right. Well, I believe one of the things is their external experiences. For example, if they came into a family that was very, very religious, their gifts, they shut down their gifts right away, because then they were considered to be going into the evil section, of their existence. They were, oh, you're talking to spirits. Wait a second. That's very negative. That goes against what we believe in. You're not in God, or they would start then making them go to church every day to get holy water poured over them and all that other stuff. So kids, when kids come to you and say, "Oh, I was talking to Jesse," for example, and who's Jesse? Oh, my friend, and it's an imaginary friend. Now, it may not always be imaginary. 99% of the times, it's not. But parents right away, oh, it's just your imagination. Or if they're older and they come to they just happen to say, "Oh, so and so told me this," and who's so and so? Oh, the person I saw standing in my doorway, yada yada yada. And right away it's like, "Oh my God, you're seeing the devil, you're seeing evil, you're dealing with them." And so to survive, we close those things. It's kind of like when we have a really bad trauma when we're young or at any point in our life, and our own mind shuts that memory off so we don't have to relive it until we're ready to heal it.
Right.
So it's just a matter of surviving. But we all born with those gifts.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting because also when I look at the DNA, which is a frequency program, of babies, not sold babies, grandson, the genetics haven't clicked in a lot of the time yet till we start having trigger experiences, which I don't think I've never talked about this, but so for example, if my grandson's pretty clear and he sees right now, he's over 2 and he still sees and he still talks to all the beings, and I encourage it and his mom's for it. But if he if he had a bad accident, let's say he falls and hits his head, that could trigger genetic memory through the genetic line and through his own incarnations, all time, all space, that starts to put these trauma programs or beliefs. Do you know what I mean? I run too fast, I hit my head. We start building these in as we go through each incarnation and build on their ancestors. If it hasn't been cleared, you and I've done a lot of work on our ancestral line as proxies. And a lot of you were voted in by your ancestral line. I'm talking to the audience as proxies to do the work for the line so that we can hopefully in the coming generations embody more of these natural abilities, fearless with least trauma. But I think it's interesting because you can, I know the Fontanelle closes, but I don't think it's that. When I watch the energy, I think it's more we start layering back in the trauma. Our memory starts coming back. That was kind of freeing. We come back with kind of a clean slate until we get that reintroduced and active genetic, and some of the genetic markers can be good. See those psychic abilities, follow the grandmother line, or what I'm talking about. So
my grandmother line. Yeah.
I knew it. I was reading that in you. But
actually it was also, I just found that also my grandfather.
That doesn't
same side.
Have a really it's weird to me, but it must be a European connection. It's weird to me because you're from New Jersey, so I wouldn't think about this, but it must be like deeper, back. But you have such definitely the vibration of like the gypsy in you. I don't have that in me. That's not my bent. We all more like Celtic. You have some of that too, but yours is really, you have a really strong vibration of like gypsy, like Romanian. Somebody in your line that's connected to all that. And that to me is one of the pure gift lines. I mean, there's many pure gift lines, but that's one of the hottest. You know what I mean?
Romania.
He's accessed.
Yeah, Romanian.
So I don't know if
it's back, but it's Romanian.
I'd be shocked if you didn't have that. Do you have that?
It's Romanian.
Yep, I got that. It's like Rob, dude. It's like
And
I'm just-
actually, the one that I discovered was from Romania is one of my guides. So,
Oh, wow. That's
yes,
cool.
she's what I call granny. It's just,
Wow. Oh, that's cool. Somebody in your line is one of your, like, helps you? Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
Really? Oh, that's
Mhm.
amazing.
well, I have the granny, and then I have my actual grandmother, that when I was born, and then I have my mother. So my mother's mother and my mother's like 8 generations back up grandmother, whatever that was. Um, that's the one that's from
Oh my,
Romania. So
yeah, I'm also seeing like your movies started playing for me, like your whole lines movies. So I'm like seeing a bunch of yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I got chills. That's really cool. Yeah, you've got it, girl, for sure. It's in the blood, not in. So there, and I want to point this out, you guys. So we all as a soul have these abilities.
right.
When you have an avatar with the bloodline, I usually that turns on a switch that I call meta abilities, meaning they're easily accessed, usually from birth, super strong, easy to develop, and very accurate. So I'm getting that vibe from you, where you
Yes.
have this that also worked as healers and magicians and alchemists and teachers, your soul, we're talking soul groups through all time space. And then you have bloodline. So that's like double magic, because we're all magic.
Mhm.
But then when you get that little avatar assistance, it's nice. Or maybe not,
Yes.
maybe not so nice, But again, our avatars can be trained to work magic in this reality.
Right. Exactly.
Regardless of if we have the bloodline or not. It doesn't
Right.
matter.
Right. We could, we limit ourselves.
Yes, I love
If
that.
we really surrender and allow things to happen, oh, that would be beautiful. Be a whole different other world.
I think that's what you hold in your field that I don't see. And again, I want to point this out. You just be quiet a bit. So I want you to merge a little bit into just her field. Don't violate. You don't have to be like me and go crawl around her body, which I haven't done, but I used to as a medical intuitive. You don't have to go that far. But just sit in this woman's presence. There's a difference between the light of the darkness and the light of the light. And you guys don't need to understand that phrasing. I just want you to sit in her field and feel there's a purity here. There's an authenticity. She's not saying she's something that she's not. The frequency, she's saying, I am this and I have done this and I've experienced this, and it's matching the frequency of her being. I want you to use this little moment to practice discernment and then switch this off and really go pick any random channel with a random psychic, a random reader, a random whatever consciousness teacher, and sit in their field. And then come back and sit in this field. And there's a difference. And I don't ask anyone to be perfect. That's teaching or healing or reading or speaking. What I ask is that you can do what you say you can do. Don't charge money for something that you can't do, right?
Mhm.
Do you know why this industry has such a bad name? Because 95% of the people, Glenda, cannot do what they're charging for.
I agree. There's nothing more frustrating than somebody says, oh, I could read. They pull out 3 cards and then they take out the little book. Anybody can read. There's a different level of reading. Let's just say that.
It's interesting you bring that up because, I use technology and lots of people have the technology, lots of people use it. And one of my friends who's pretty tuned in high level psychic, she said, when you first gave me a reading, I'm like, oh, she's just using technology and reading what the technology said. And then she said, I realized when you gave me a reading that that's not true at all. She's like, every reading is you plus the technology. you both open up the field and you work together.
Mhm.
And she said, nobody on the planet is doing what you're doing, which of course I love, because I love to be unique. And we're all unique, but I love to be
Mhm.
super unique. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool that she can see that. It's because I always say, I'm giving you a reading plus my gifts and abilities. Like it's
Mhm.
both. That's what you do. So you can do a tarot reading, right? You
Mhm.
could use, or you can use a pendulum, you can use tools,
Tools, absolutely.
but you're going to bring you plus the tool. And sometimes you and I both know as practitioners, we use the tools for you guys. We don't even need
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Right?
Just to keep them occupied.
Just so you suspend disbelief, right? So you're like, oh, she's using a tool. Okay, cool. I'll believe her. Yeah. So I think it's real interesting that you're very aware of that. Yeah, you definitely bring your own abilities, and we don't have to use tools. And again, we are the tool. All of you are the tool too.
Yes.
You are your pendulum. You are cards. You are any technology that you use. You are the tool. All right. So I don't want to keep you too long, and I have another class I'm teaching later tonight. I know you're busy. Would you like to share anything of your gifts or abilities? Give us a little teaser taste of the magical Glenda.
Well, we could do a quick healing session if everybody wants to. Basically, I do ask that you close your eyes if you can. Of course, if you're driving or all that stuff, do this exercise later. But just closing your eyes and breathing nice and slow and very deep, and be in your own space in this very moment. Letting go of expectations, letting go of everything that's around you. Give yourself these couple minutes to just be. And let that energy of peace go within you. And let it shower you also, like if you were under a beautiful waterfall. And let that peace just come all around you. And take anything that isn't serving you at all at this moment away from you. Washing all that you've been through today that is bothering you. And for these just couple of seconds, just let that water cleanse you. Let that water touch all of your cells, every single physical cell that you have. And let that water touch every single body of your psyche, all 11 bodies. So you can sit in that peaceful energy, so you can feel that healing that's occurring around you and within you, and create that energetic bubble around you. So when you go back and open your eyes, nothing will bother you. Nothing can trigger you. Your true higher self would rise, is going to come out and be ahead of you. Be with you. Be your true self. And allow that true self to shine the light so you can see where you're going. So you can see the reality of what's happening around you, the reality of what's happening within you, and your true path. Allow that energy of peace, of divineness that we all have inside of us shine. Let it get brighter and brighter, and feel that energy. You will start getting clarity. You will start feeling better. You will start feeling lighter. And allow that energy to clear all of your energy fields, all of your chakras, all of your meridians. In this dimension, in any space and time, in the quantum field, in the matrix. Let your true being, your higher self come out and just sit in that energy. Even if you're feeling tingling or just like a dove that flies in front of you, all full of peace. And that light that's coming from above, right, just shining on you. Let it happen. Let it be. Don't try to fight it. Go above and beyond to put your walls down. Don't resist, and you will feel so much lighter that no matter what it is that you're facing, you will find a way through it, a way over it, a way around it, or a way under it, whichever way it resonates best with you. And when you come out on the other side, you will see it wasn't as bad as you thought. It wasn't as harsh as you thought. It was just a moment in time to teach you something. And with that peaceful energy, that loving, peaceful energy, that divine energy, you will heal 3 lifetimes, 3 past lives of yours. You will heal what you are afraid of in this moment. You will find the answer, and you will just take the steps. If you're afraid of flying, you will say, you know what? I want to travel. If you're afraid of the water, you will go into the water. If you're afraid of giving yourself love, you will start loving yourself and having compassion towards yourself. Healing those 3 lifetimes will heal this one. And all that is stopping you will not go into the next lifetime or existence. Take a few deep breaths, allowing that energy to continue to flow through you. Take one more deep breath, and when you exhale, exhale, releasing all that needed to be healed. Take 3 more deep, slow breaths. And on the last one, again, deep exhale. And open your eyes.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Love it. Absolutely wonderful. Why don't you tell us what you're up to these days? Do you have anything going on? Any current classes? Any current events?
Well, every Thursday night I teach mediumship. I have a class that's mediumship and psychic development, and that's complimentary. So anybody who wants to just come in and join in our energy, it's a hybrid. So I do it with people here in person and on Zoom together. I have my podcast on Wednesday nights, Glenda's Dragon's Den, and that is at 9 p.m. Eastern. I also have on Sunday nights, I do at 7 p.m. Eastern. I have a channeling session where we channel the Council of Nine and other councils of light beings, where they take us to places so we could start to ignite our memory of not only those places, but all of our gifts and how grand we really are. And then on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern, I give a mini Reiki session. I stream that. That's also complimentary. So anybody who wants to, can't receive one, whatever, you're more than welcome to tune in. And, that's basically streamed everywhere. My YouTube, Conscious Awakening, Facebook. So there's many different places where they could find that. And then I have a lot of different classes. Like right now, I'm teaching a private class of intuitive tarot readings. So certification. So at the end of that course, people will be certified that they could read intuitively, and they get tested. So it isn't like just you get to the class and that's it. You're tested. And you have to do readings for each other and for people you don't know. So
That's I love that.
then I'm also teaching basically a self-love course right now. In week 19 or 19th session of 26 sessions. It
Wow.
teaches and it heals a lot in you that you needed to let go, so you remember to love yourself. Because we forget to do that. We were born and we are taught you got to take care of this, that, but you always leave yourself behind. And then at the end of the month, I'm doing a charity event, a hybrid gallery. So I'm going to have people in a Shawnee Playhouse in Pennsylvania, and online they go to the Shawnee Playhouse website, they buy the ticket there, so everything goes to them. And I'll do a hybrid gallery where it's whatever spirits come. I'll give them a description of that, and whoever it resonates with, then I will give them the message. So I'm doing that, and I'm working on hopefully within 2 months I'll be able to publish book number 2 of my 5-book series. My first one is Sarah's Chrysalis, and that is already been on Amazon for a while. Is story about a woman and her challenges and how she's been able to surpass them.
Wow.
And so I'm always doing things.
Not very busy, are you?
No, and I'm also taking care of my 23-month granddaughter.
That's
So
right. That's about. That's fun. Aw,
yes, it is.
Grandma,
Yes, it is.
love that. What is your website, if you could tell us, please?
Oh, sure. GlendasMagicalCreations.com. I am a registered nonprofit organization. So if people, I do have services, which I'm going to start doing services, gathering and having talks about different subjects and stuff like that. Soon I'm going to be starting that up again. But I took a little break because I need a vacation. But so I will be bringing subjects back up again where, we could hold space, we could gather together, we could discuss different opinions about a certain subject. And this way, we welcome anybody and everybody. Doesn't make any difference what your belief system is, because you never know who or what is going to bring you the next piece of knowledge. So I'm a great believer of just hearing everybody and focusing on what they say, because like I said, you never know. Never know.
I also like to focus on what, that's one thing I noticed about you and I, even though I know we're different on a few things. I noticed how much we had in common. I always like to focus on what I have in common with someone versus, what the differences. So I think we definitely have a lot of crossover in what we do and what we, how we do it, and even some of our abilities. So I love that about you. Well, thank you so much for being here. A lot of people said thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So they really appreciated that. And I'm very appreciative that you shared that with my audience as well. And that's a gift that will go on as people watch the replays of and as this gets posted in as you know, different arenas. So
Yes.
your time, I don't want to keep you. Does anybody have a burning question or comment they want to say? I can see the comments on YouTube and I can see the comments on Zoom. Does anyone have a question or anything they want to ask before we end for this afternoon? Last chance. You'll have to contact her yourself. That's right now. I'm looking. Nobody's saying anything. So I guess we'll call it a wrap. They're very appreciative though. So
Yes.
thank
And
so much.
thank you for allowing me to do that. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me here. I love chatting with you.
Madison, thank you again. So we'll have to do it again sometime, or maybe I'll be able to pull together an authentic panel sometime. Maybe I'll meet enough authentic that we could. Wouldn't that be cool to have like a panel speaks the mediums and say, okay, and then have like a moderator and like ask questions and get like every point. I love that stuff. Like I just think that's the best.
It is.
All right.
It is.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be in.
Thank you.